The past couple videos I've made have been along the lines of me being inspired by something Lord of the Rings related, and then I spout off a couple facts about that thing. And I was at Target the other day and I saw something that made me want to keep that a running theme. Kaia, what was the thing you saw? I'm glad you asked. This. If you don't know what these are, they're like the little mystery grab bag keychain collector things that you can get at like Box Lunch, Hot Topic, Target. I think you can get them on Amazon too. I've seen them at Books A Million. Basically any place that you can get like collector items, I guess. I'm gonna open this up. Sorry if it gets loud. This plastic is very noisy. It looks like I got Frodo. So this is what he looks like, which is a lot different from what his series 1 looks like. There's a lot of differences in these two. I like the series 1 better because there's more detail on him. So like in the series 1, you see he has the little leaf of Lorien, he's got the ring around his neck, and he's holding Sting, and he's got the little hairy feet. In series 2, his hair is a little bit more detailed, but he doesn't have the leaf of Lorien anymore. He doesn't have the ring around his neck. I'm assuming that's Sting, but it's not as big. And he doesn't got his little hairy feet anymore. On to the informational part of this. Something that I've seen a couple other Tolkien creators comment on is Frodo's actual name and not his translated one. His translated name is Frodo Baggins. However, his actual name in the Shire is Mora Labingi. I'm not going to go into too much depth about that. You can go check out their videos. They can explain it a lot better than I can because I do not want to have to spend the time going through and editing out my stutter. You can just go check out their video. So those of us who have seen the movie and read the book know that Frodo doesn't live with his parents. He lives with Bilbo, who is his uncle or his cousin. Some people may not know how they died, which was in a boating accident. And there are theories as to how that boating accident was caused. One of my favorites being that Gollum caused it. When Gollum realized that Bilbo took the ring, the only two things he had to go off of was Baggins and Shire. So he could have very well made the journey to the Shire to try and retrieve the ring, and Frodo's parents were just a casualty in that. Now, that is just a theory. I don't believe there's any fact behind that, but if you do want to dive deeper into it, please do. It's one of my favorite theories throughout the entire series. Another little tidbit that I enjoy about Frodo is his encounter with the ring wraiths at the Fort of Bruinen, also known as the Fort of Loudwater, also known as the Fort of Rivendell. In the movies, you see Arwen tell the ring wraiths to F off. If you want him, come and get him, right? However, in the books, Frodo is the one to tell him to F off. Those of us who have read the book and seen the movie, a big issue a lot of us have with the movie is that Glorfindel was replaced with Arwen. In the movie, Arwen takes him across the ford. However, in the book, Frodo crosses the ford by himself, but with the help of Glorfindel. Ultimately, gets to the other side by himself and then encounters the ring wraiths, from across the ford. I got my little copy of the Fellowship right here, so I'm going to tell y'all how it went in the book. I'm going to jump around a little bit just so that way it's a little bit more concise, but here we go. Come back, they called. To Mordor we will take you. By Elbereth and Luthien the Fair, said Frodo, with a last effort, lifting up his sword, you shall have neither the ring nor me. It's a nicer way than I would have told him to F off. Another thing that some people who haven't read the book might not know is what happened to Bag End during Frodo's journey to destroy the ring and after he sailed to the Undying Lands. Before he left on his initial journey, he sold Bag End to none other than Lobelia Sackville Baggins. After the War of the Ring, after the Scouring of the Shire, after the Battle of Bywater, Lobelia was released from prison, and upon being released, she found out that her son Lotho had been unalived by Grima Wormtongue. On hearing this, she decided that she wanted to just go back to her home village and give Bag End back to Frodo. Frodo took up residency at Bag End again, and then not long after Sam and Rosie got married, they moved into Bag End with Frodo. For a time, Frodo acted as deputy mayor until Will Whitfoot could get back on his feet and recover from being in the lockholes during the Scouring of the Shire. Frodo also had a hand in naming Sam's daughter Eleanor. I got my little Return of the King copy here, and I'm going to tell you how it went in the book. It starts with Sam. I suppose you're right, Mr. Frodo, said Sam. I've heard some beautiful names on my travels, but I suppose they're a bit too grand for daily wear and tear, as you might say. The gaffer says, make it short, and then you won't have to cut it short before you use it. But if it's to be a flower name, then I don't trouble about the length. It must be a beautiful flower, because you see, I think she is very beautiful, and is going to be beautifuler still. Frodo thought for a moment. Well, Sam, what about Eleanor, the sun star? You remember the little golden flower in the grass of Lothlorien? You're right again, Mr. Frodo, said Sam, delighted. That's what I wanted. About 6 months after little Eleanor is born, like you see in the movie, Frodo makes the journey to Meathland with Sam, Merry, and Pippin, where he ultimately boards a boat with Bilbo, Gandalf, Galadriel, Elrond, and in the books, Círdan the Shipwright, because Frodo, along with Bilbo, are one of only 3 hobbits granted passage to the Undying Lands because of their roles as ring bearers in the War of the Ring. Sam ultimately being the 3rd one after Rosie passes on. Now, a lot of people think that Frodo being granted passage to the Undying Lands means he's going there and living forever, like granted immortality. That's not true. Frodo, along with Bilbo and Sam, are very much still mortal beings as they pass into the Undying Lands. Their allowance into Valinor is more or less to give them a peaceful retirement where they can be relieved of the weight and the trauma that bearing the ring gave them during the War of the Ring. That does mean that Frodo, Bilbo, and Sam do eventually die in Valinor, and because they are a part of the race of man, their souls will pass through the halls of Mandos, where the fate of their souls will be decided on a permanent afterlife. As someone who's read the books and seen the movies and been in the Tolkien community for a very long time, I feel like Frodo does get a lot of unfair shit. People will call him whiny and lazy and that he didn't do a lot when it comes to his participation in the War of the Ring, but really, I think that those people just don't understand the weight that he had to carry. Like, the ring he carried was created and coveted by one of the most evil, powerful beings in Middle-earth. Like, it's not just taking your grandma's ring to the pawn shop. The mental and physical weight and trauma that the ring carries is heavy, and I don't think Frodo deserves half the hate he gets, honestly. So stop hating on him. Leave the little man alone. Shit.